Okay, welcome to the 99th Annual Bowling League organization. Oh, this is not the same. Oh, sorry about that. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. I know it's obviously a commitment on behalf of everybody to change their calendars and meet the schedules that we try to put forth. We expected quite a few more, but I got a lot of text messages that, oh, I've been called aside for this meeting and called aside for that meeting, and my wife called me and my husband called me. I got all of those answers. So, and anyway, we thank you for coming. Look, we have one subject we're going to cover today primarily. I'm waiting for someone else to arrive that we can discuss the second subject. But the first subject, and primarily for being here today, is to discuss the plans that the Solid Waste Authority has with regards to its building a new incinerator. There's been multiple presentations. I want to compliment Dan and the SWA, Dan Pelowitz, who's their executive director. They've been very cooperative, very collaborative. Whenever we've needed anything, they've given us what we've asked for. So with that in mind, at least we got a good relationship going. And eventually, when we open it up for questions, don't hesitate to ask anything you have on your mind, because this is it. This is probably the last time we, from an NCNC point of view, are going to facilitate a meeting like this so we can disseminate the information for you. But before we begin to the meeting, let me acknowledge a couple of elected officials and dignitaries that I see. Greg Weiss just came in from Palm Beach County Commissioner, District 2. He's got communities. We got Dana Middleton from the Palm Beach Gardens City Council. Before I get into candidates, let me see if there's anybody else from an elected official point of view. No, we have two candidates in the room. Rochelle Litt. Rochelle's running for Palm Beach Gardens City Council. And Damian Murray is also running for City Council as well. Okay? If I didn't call your name, you're not a candidate. Yeah, okay. You're a city council member today. Okay. And that's an election in March. And, once again, our goal in the NCNC is to educate you and then encourage you to go to the polls to vote. We don't tell you who to vote for. We don't care whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent. Just be an American and go to the polls and do your duty and exercise your democratic right to go vote. Okay. Our voter record is stellar. Over 17 years, we've averaged better than 75% voter participation rate. We have 42,000 voters in the NCNC, 38,000 registered in this county. And just to give an illustration, in the November election, I know that was a presidential election, we have beaten the state and the county again and again. County had a participation rate of 74%. The state had 82%. We were 90%. 90% of 38,000 people. So the formula works. Everybody asks me, what strategy do you have? And I says, if you educate people, inform them, get them more knowledgeable, when they go to the polls, they know what they're voting for, whether it's an individual or a ballot issue. So I'm very proud and very thankful. Obviously, we accomplish what we want to do, and that's primarily what we're all about, is to have you go out and vote at the end of the day. Okay. All right. So with the one agenda item, before we get into that, I have a very proud announcement to make. We had our first baby in the NCNC. Please stand up, Julia. My executive assistant delivered a baby boy. You want to announce his name? Go ahead.
It's Michael in English, but in Russian it sounds like Misha. And it's nice because it translates as a teddy bear in Russian, so it's double cute.
And I'm the newest uncle. No, congratulations to you and her husband, Stefan. Obviously, be a wonderful family. And Josephine and I are prepared to step in anytime you need our help. She'll babysit. I'll run and go eat the food. Okay. With that in mind, I'm going to turn the program over to Dan Pelowitz, who's the executive director here. But let me assure you of something. We're going to videotape today's presentation, and we're also going to get an electronic version of it. The videotape will be put up on our website as well as the electronic version. So when you go back to your respective communities, people who are not here and want to know what happened, you don't have to take copious notes. All that information will be disseminated to you electronically or through video apparatus. So you can get to our website, which is ncncpbc.org. And we encourage you to use it. It's got a lot of information on it, tells you who we are, what we do, how we do it, and where we do it, and obviously presentations such as this. One other heads up for you, next year in 2026, we have the elections that are going to take place. That's going to be in March. So in January and in February, we will hold forums for the candidates that are running for office in 2026. Each candidate gets 5 minutes to speak. I coach them all. I say, do not speak about your opponent, because if you do, they will get an extra minute. And I think most of the candidates like that. We can stay on schedule. So we'll let you know what the venues are. We're working on that now to try to secure locations, if it's Ibis or if it's Mirasol or Avenir perhaps as well too. Okay, everybody in the right meeting? Nick, you okay back there? Don't go snoozing off on me just because you're sitting in the back. Okay, so Dan Pelowitz, they're all yours, and thank you very much for allowing us to have our meeting here.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County. It's a pleasure to have you all here today. We're here to provide a presentation. We've been told that we have a hard stop at 5:30, so I'll try not to go on too long, but we do have a lot of information, and we want to save time for questions as well. So let's start. So what we're going to do today is we have an agenda here. We're going to provide to you our plan to replace renewable energy facility number 1. We're going to tell you a little bit about waste energy. We're going to talk about the consequences if this facility is not replaced. We're going to tell you a little bit about the Solid Waste Authority and how we came to be and how we've come to this place, a little bit of history of this site. We're going to talk about air emissions and air quality. I know that's a concern that a lot of people have, and we're going to focus very heavily on air emissions and air quality. We're going to talk about some other concerns, traffic being one of them, and also we're going to touch a little bit on the CSX railroad tracks, which I know a lot of people are interested in, and then we're going to take your questions. So what is the plan? Well, the plan is to replace our oldest waste energy plant, renewable energy facility number 1, which is approaching 40 years in life, take it offline in 2029 and replace it with a brand new modern facility, at least to the same standards of what our renewable energy facility number 2 was constructed at. You intend to replace it on this site on the same footprint as Ref 1. That means we will be demolishing Ref 1 in 2029 and rebuilding a new facility on the same footprint. The facility will have the most advanced air pollution control systems. The renewable energy facility number 2 has the most advanced air pollution control systems that are currently employed. It is the only plant in North America with SCR for the control of NOx, selective catalytic reduction. There are a couple of other plants around the world that have it, but it's very rare, and we're the only ones that have it in North America. The facility will be sized appropriately to accommodate future growth. Obviously, this county is growing. We've seen a lot of folks move here. Population's gone over 1.5 million, and it continues to grow. And again, we intend to replace our current 2,000 ton per day facility with a facility no larger than 3,000 tons per day. So that's in a nutshell what the plan is. What's waste energy? So waste energy facilities are primarily volume reduction machines. They reduce the volume of waste by up to 90%. And that's very important because these facilities help to preserve landfill capacity and help to mitigate the need to develop more landfills. Waste energy facilities recover resources that would otherwise be entombed in landfills. Primarily, one of the biggest things, obviously, is the energy that's produced from waste that would otherwise have to be produced from fossil fuels. Waste energy facilities recover metals, a lot of metals that don't make it into the blue and yellow bin. We have recovered enough metal through our waste energy plants since 1989 to build more than 1 million automobiles. All of that metal would have been in a landfill across the street, and in the landfill that would ultimately have replaced the landfill across the street, which would have been depleted as early as 2013. So it's very important. These facilities extend landfill life. They recover resources. Mining metals, refining metals, transporting them all over the planet to be used in products is nowhere near as efficient as recovering the metals we already have and reusing them. And that's one of the things we do. Waste energy facilities, most people don't know, are also greenhouse gas reducers, not increasers. They do that because we eliminate the methane that would otherwise come from landfills. Methane is 28 to 70 times, depending on your time frame, more potent a greenhouse gas than CO2 is. Methane has been identified as a major source of greenhouse gas, and it's one that can be avoided with waste energy plants. We avoid the impact of landfills, not only the methane emissions, but also the potential groundwater impacts associated with landfilling raw garbage in landfills. Landfills are engineered structures. They're designed very well. They have liner systems and leachate collection systems, which is the water that comes through the landfills in them. But think about it. The liner system's got to be there forever. The waste isn't going anywhere. We put the liner systems in, we put the waste in, and then we put a top cap on it, and it's entombed. We collect the gas, and we make sure we do all of that in perpetuity, but that's going to be there forever. And whatever's in that landfill has the potential to affect the groundwater at some point. The potential. What we can also do with waste energy facilities is we promote local responsibility. So Palm Beach County has never been a county that exports its solid waste management problem to anyone else. Anyone who's from up north knows a lot of waste goes across state lines up north. Connecticut is shipping waste into Pennsylvania, and from what I've told, as far as Ohio, we've heard of New York City waste that's going all the way down the seaboard into North Carolina. We have never done that in Palm Beach County. We have always operated under the assumption that we are going to manage Palm Beach County's problem in Palm Beach County. There are some who suggest that maybe you should load it into trucks and ship it somewhere else. There's a point at which somewhere else in somebody's backyard is not going to be acceptable anymore. And it is not a sustainable approach to operate under the assumption that you can continuously export your problem to Osceola County or to Okeechobee County or anywhere else. As we sit here today, a lot of the waste coming out of Monroe County, Miami-Dade County, and Broward County is being shipped straight through Palm Beach County to those other landfills. That's what happens when you don't manage your problem at home. And it's our effort, and our effort has always been to avoid doing that. What happens if we don't replace this facility? Well, that would mean about 800,000 tons today of raw garbage will now be going into the landfill across the street. That's going to increase the potential for odor. It's going to increase our landfill gas generation. It's going to increase our greenhouse gas emissions, not reduce them, and it's going to waste a lot of resources. We're not going to be recovering the energy. We're not going to be recovering the metals. We're not going to be recovering the aggregate that we've been able to get approved for use in asphalt and concrete in place of virgin aggregate and recycled aggregate. We've got a jar of it sitting right over there. That is aggregate that came from the ash stream from the waste energy facility. We will be losing valuable landfill capacity. We're going to reduce the life of our landfill from the current projected 2057 to 2044. And why is that important? That's only 19 years away. And in our world, you're looking at 10, 15 years minimum to site a landfill or to site some other type of facility. We would already be in a position of having to look for the next place where our solid waste is going to go. And to suggest potentially to send it to basically punt and send it to a landfill somewhere else around the state, you have no idea how long that's going to be available. We don't know. And when you don't have the ability to do it yourself, you're not in a good negotiating position. They can increase your prices time and time and time again, and it's going to take you 15 years to respond to it. And that's not the position we want to be in. It's not a responsible position, and it's not the position we would want to put our ratepayers in either. So that's really about, and again, just talking about a couple other things, it would accelerate the need to identify future landfill capacity. I'm going to get into that a little bit because we did look at that back in the 2000s, the mid-2000s, about siting a new landfill out west, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. What does Ref 1 do? Ref 1R do? If we replace the existing facility with a new one, we will be able to extend the life of our landfill to a projected 2064 right now, to 2064 relative to the 2057 we're sitting at right now. The 2057 assumes that Ref 1 is in continuous operation. We know that that's not the plan now. So the next slide shows you what happens if we don't. And if we don't, you're looking at 2044, and that little kind of beige section in there, that's 12 million tons of raw garbage going in the landfill. That means odors, that means gas, that means problems. And believe me, there have been times in the past where odor has been an issue at this plant, and that was prior to the construction of Ref 2. And one of the main reasons that our neighbors at Iron Horse supported the construction of Ref 2 is because it would eliminate the odors that were coming from the landfill. And so we can commit to not putting raw garbage in that landfill, except obviously under extreme circumstances. If there's an outage, sometimes that has to happen, but we can commit on a regular basis to not putting raw garbage in that landfill for a very long time. A little bit about us, I want to throw this here in the middle just to provide a little framework because some of you may not be that familiar with the Solid Waste Authority, but we were created by an act of the legislature in 1975 to provide a coordinated resource recovery and solid waste management system in Palm Beach County. Resource recovery is the word they used back then for waste to energy or incineration with energy recovery. That's the phrase they used. At the time, the legislature was trying to encourage the development of waste energy in Florida in order to eliminate landfills. Landfills aren't great in Florida. We've got a high water table. You have a significant potential for groundwater issues associated with landfills. They are not optimal. So they asked the largest counties to look at it. They didn't require that they build it. They just asked them to study it. And most of the large counties did go forward with waste to energy. Palm Beach, Broward, Dade, Lee, Hillsborough, Pinellas, City of Tampa, Pasco. I think there was a small one in Lake County, I believe. They all decided to. Orange County didn't, and Duval, Jacksonville did not. There's a big one that didn't, but most of the larger counties did. The authority receives the county generates about 4 million tons per year of solid waste. The Solid Waste Authority receives about 2.3 to 2.5 million tons of that. The balance of it goes to recycling directly. We have permitted private recyclers throughout the county, your Waste Managements, Coastals, Tree Cycles, some other folks who recycle a very large amount of yard waste, vegetation, and of construction demolition debris and clean concrete. DS Eakins is a big, big recycler of concrete. So that's where most of that is going. So right off the top, there's a lot of effort to recycle materials before they even come to us. We receive the balance of the 2.3 million. We have a very successful system. We have the highest recycling rate in the state 3 years in a row. We have the cleanest and greenest waste energy plant in North America and maybe the world. And we also have a greater than 75% landfill diversion rate here in Palm Beach County. It's greater than that, and that has extended the life, like I've said, to 2057 from what could have been 2013. It's interesting, someone came to our Citizens Advisory Committee yesterday with a plan from Broward County. Broward County their Solid Waste Authority has just produced a master plan. Their master plan was a plan to get to a 75% diversion rate and to recover more vegetation and do more recycling. And my response to the plan was, it's great to see that Broward County has developed a plan to do what we have already done. So that to me is a signal. Everyone comes to us. They look to us as the example. We have people come from all over the world to see what we do. We've got a tour coming in from Bangladesh next week. They're coming here to look at these facilities. So, we're very proud of what we've done, but we understand that we have an obligation to explain to you what we're doing and why we're doing it. So this site was acquired in 1986 after looking at more than a dozen sites. We refer to the site as Site 7. I've been here longer. I've been 34 years, so no one calls it that anymore, but that's because it was site number 7 of the more than 12 that they looked at. The site was chosen because of its location. It's bounded by the turnpike to the east, by the Beeline Highway, CSX railroad tracks over here to the north, and by a bunch of natural areas behind us. And so it was deemed to be a suitable location. It was also across the turnpike from the old Dyer landfill, which is now Dyer Park. At the time the authority was created, it took until 1983 before we acquired the county's old landfills. At the time, there were 2 landfills operating, the Lantana landfill and the Dyer landfill. There were 2 landfills. They needed to be closed, and there were 2 landfills in the Glades that also needed to be closed. The system was not good, and there was no option for where this stuff was going to go. We were running out of time. This site was selected, and this resource recovery program we have is what was ultimately developed and expanded over time. In 2004, we were looking at the system, and we realized that landfill depletion was soon. The landfill life expectancy was 2021. I've told you about long lead times and things like that. And so the board wanted to look at increasing landfill capacity to be able to handle the ash and residue coming from these waste energy plants going in the future. Because the plants are expected to last a long time. There's ash that's going to come out continuously. And if you deplete your landfill resource, then you're looking at trucking ash to another landfill somewhere. And obviously we wanted to avoid that. And so we needed to secure future capacity. We have a western site. It's 1,600 acres. It's next to the Loxahatchee National Wildlife Refuge in the Everglades agricultural area. We went to the board to permit it. The board decided they didn't want to permit that site. There was opposition from a lot of environmental groups, pretty much all of the environmental groups, Sierra Club, Thousand Friends, Audubon, and opposition from the folks at the refuge and even some federal agencies about it. So the board asked us to go out and look for alternative sites. So we put a solicitation on the street. We've got 3 really viable sites. We did a fatal flaw analysis on all of them. They all would have worked as landfills, but ultimately the board decided, and based on opposition from the environmental groups in some of the western cities, that they didn't want to build they didn't want to build another landfill. And they directed us to accelerate the expansion of waste to energy. And that ultimately is what resulted in the development of Renewable Energy Facility number 2, which expanded our waste energy capacity to 5,000 tons per day. And that's where we sit today. If Ref 1 goes down, we're going to lose 2,000 tons a day. That's a step backward. All of the advancements that we've been able to achieve with Ref 2 would basically be wiped out, and we'd be looking at 2044 and having to come up with a solution for 2044. So as I said, we've got 2 renewable energy facilities. We've got 6 transfer stations to feed this site. They help mitigate traffic because it disperses the traffic around the county. We take little trucks and load the contents into big trucks, and the big trucks come here. From around here, you do have the smaller waste vehicles that you see, Waste Management, FCC, Good Company, all of those do come here from the local area. But other than that, anything coming from the distributed areas of the county comes in our tractor trailers. We've got the 7 home chemical and recycling centers, which are intended to collect all that household hazardous waste and your recyclables, your pesticides, your pool chemicals, your electronics, your lithium batteries, all of these things, because we don't want them in the waste stream. We have a recovery materials processing facility down the street that manages that blue and yellow bin material. Hopefully all of you are filling up those blue and yellow bins and contributing to recycling here in the county. I know a lot of you are. Some people don't. So that helps us out a lot. You should know that in Palm Beach County, recycling actually happens. So you may read stories about other places where the recyclables are thrown in the garbage or just landfill. That does not happen here. We manage them down here. We have the opportunity. We've got a sign sheet up there for anyone who wants a tour in the back later, and we can actually show you how that happens. We market all those materials ourselves. Our material is highly desirable because it's very, very clean. And we thank everybody for helping us keep what's in the bin, only what's supposed to be in the bin. Most people don't know we also have a biosolids processing facility on the site. So we receive about 90-95% of the wastewater sludge in the county comes to that facility where it's dried and converted in a Class AA fertilizer. So that's something we use landfill gas collected from the landfill in addition to natural gas to run those dryers, and we produce a pelletized sludge product that can be used as a fertilizer additive or directly applied in accordance with best management practices on the land for the farm. We also have, as I've said, a lot of private recyclers in the county who manage a significant amount of our waste and are very successful. Most of the yard waste in this county is actually ground and then it's land applied. So it is beneficially used. It's not filling landfills. So that's really important to know. This is a map. So the map, the F is where our 1,600 acres is, just for reference, out there kind of right in the middle of the map, just so you know where that 1,600 acres is. The C's are all closed landfills that we're responsible for. The A is where we are right now, and those trucks are all where our transfer stations are. This is this site. So you're sitting in the administration building, which is identified on the map right there. The yellow area, the red area, and the green area, that's the landfill. It's about 320 acres of landfill space. The green area is already closed. It's got a top cap on it. It's got the final landfill gas collection system on it. We just closed that this past year. So that's closed. The yellow area is the area that's kind of right across from where we are right now. That is going to be closed starting in 2027. So we are preparing to close that now. The red area is what's left. The red area is where the waste would go in the event we don't replace Ref 1. That's where all that excess waste is going to go, right across the street. You'll see the Dyer landfill is up there, up to the top of this photo. That steeplechase is over there to the left of that. You've got the Iron Horse Country Club right next to us. You've got the Grassy Waters right behind us. And across the turnpike, you also have the Winding Waters. The Palm Beach County Winding Waters Park is right across the street. And then you'll see the 2 ref sites identified there where it says PB ref number 1. That is where the ref 1R, the replacement, is intended to go. A little bit on ref 1, originally built in 1989, completely refurbished in 2009. all new boilers, all new air pollution control systems, all new distributed control systems, which is all the electronics that basically control everything. The technology in REF 1, even though we are intending to demolish it, is equivalent to the technology being put into new plants being built today. So that's important to note. The facility is up to date, it is modern, but it's also the rest, everything around it is 40 years old. The building, a lot of the structure, it's come to a point where it's going to cost too much to maintain it in its current state, and we're better off planning for the future and replacing it. A little bit about the air pollution control systems, selective non-catalytic reduction for NOx. That's basically spraying urea in the boilers that neutralizes the NOx in the boilers. Powdered activated carbon, which has an affinity for mercury, for the control of mercury. Spray dryer absorbers for acid gases like HCl and SO2. And that basically sprays a lime slurry in there that neutralizes those acid gases. And then we have fabric filter bag houses that control particulate, which is basically smoke. So if you see smoke, coming out of from a fire, from anywhere, that's particulate. You won't see that coming out of our stack. So those are the air pollution control systems. Renewable energy facility number 2, online in 2015. Recognized cleanest and greenest in North America. I know I've said it a couple of times. This is the most advanced waste energy plant in the world. It is built with the best available technology going into new plants being built today, and we expect it to continue to operate beyond 2050. It has, as I've said, selective catalytic reduction. Selective catalytic reduction is like the catalytic converter in your car. It's basically a very advanced, very expensive way of neutralizing oxides of nitrogen, which contributes to smog. You will see, and I'm going to show you what our emissions limits are and what we actually do, what that does in a little bit. And again, I've talked about the other technologies, which are basically the same as REF 1. Waste energy is not growing in the United States. In fact, the number of operating plants in the United States is shrinking. There's a lot of opposition to waste energy for reasons that I think are misplaced. This country relies way too much on landfills and not enough on recycling and waste energy. The Solid Waste Authority here, we operate more along lines of the European model. So if you look at how our landfill diversion and how we deal with solid waste, we're more like the European model, which in Europe, they've put a high tax on landfilling. They don't want landfills. They don't have land. We have the luxury in the United States of having a lot of land that we can pile all the stuff up we don't want anymore. But for only so long is it smart to buy a bunch of stuff and then decide you don't want it and then throw it in the ground and bury it. That's what most of us do. This map here is intended to show you there are 2,800 waste energy plants in the world globally, approximately. There are 1,100 of them in Japan, many of them in downtown Tokyo. There are more than 500 in Europe. That includes facilities in Paris and in Copenhagen. There are more than 300 in China, and China keeps building them because they have an air pollution control problem. And one of their solutions to their air pollution is to stop landfilling and build waste energy plants. And they also generate electricity. And obviously, as we know, with AI and everything else, there's a big push to increase power generation to power these AI facilities. There are more than 150 in Germany. As I said, there are only a little more than 70 in the United States, and there are 53 in the UK. The significance of the chart is everything in blue is new. Everything in red is old. So when you look at this chart, I can tell you, while we're not building waste energy plants in the United States, the rest of the world has adopted a different approach, and they're building them. I'm just going to show you a couple of them real quick, bounce through them. This is a facility in Dubai, population 4 million. This is a 5,000 ton per day facility, and it's using the air pollution control technology as dry scrubbers and SNCR. SNCR is REF 1 technology. This is a new facility in Istanbul, came online in 2021, serves a population of 16 million. It's 1 million tons per year, again, using SNCR as the control of NOx. This is Ferrybridge in the UK, online in 2015. This is a 675,000 ton per year facility, again, SNCR as the NOx control technology. This is a facility in Vienna. It's been there a long time. It is one of the largest tourist attractions in Vienna. It is a waste energy plant. It has SCR. I just wanted to show you that. There are some folks who say you shouldn't build these in populated areas. These facilities are intended to serve the populations of populated areas because they generate large amounts of solid waste. And the most efficient way to manage solid waste is near the point of generation. And so it is commonplace throughout the world, including in Tokyo, to put waste energy facilities within population centers, not out in the middle of nowhere where you've then got to truck it long distances to get there. This is a facility in North London, expected to come online in 2026. It's 770,000 tons per year. This one is also using SCR, which is the technology in REF 2. And this is a facility that's planned in Abu Dhabi, expected to be online in 2029. Again, SNCR technology, which is REF 1 technology. The rest of the world is building these, and they're building them for a reason. They're building them because they realize that landfilling waste is not a viable long-term solution, that wasting the resources that can be recovered through these facilities is the way to go, and that these facilities are safe. And we will get into that very shortly. This is one of the more interesting facilities. This is the waste energy plant in Copenhagen, Denmark. That's a ski slope. They built a ski slope into the roof of the facility, and they actually use it. So this is in downtown Copenhagen, and people ski on top of the waste energy plant. And this is a new facility planned for Singapore as well. Again, they have a population of 5.9 million. This will contribute greatly to solving their solid waste management problems. And now the issue that a lot of people have interest in, and rightfully so, is what about the air emissions? How do these facilities operate? What are the air emissions? The first thing I want to point out is that landfills have emissions too, a lot of air emissions. And this chart came from, this was a study done at Columbia University. It's a little old, but we have a lot of stuff in our files. This shows the air emissions from a landfill that's handling 1 million tons of U.S. waste per year. And this is what their emissions look like. Methane, CO2, ammonia, mercaptans, sulfides, hydrogen sulfide, smells like rotten eggs, toluene, I can just go down the whole list. This is just to let you know that if anyone tells you that landfills don't have emissions, they do. And landfills have the additional problem of potentially impacting the groundwater in very negative ways. So I just wanted to put that out there so you see that. There is no evidence of negative health effects associated with modern waste energy facilities. That is not me saying it. That is the studies we have here on the table. On our website, we have technology reports in a technology section. We have a study by Dr. Marco Castaldi, and we have all of the citations from that study are included on the website. And I just wanted to bring them out here for you all to see them. We don't rely on our own internal thoughts when it comes to these decisions. We rely on the experts. And in every case here, I will point out to where the data came from when we talk about it. We have technical reports on our site at that URL that's sitting right up there. You can download these reports. You can read them yourselves. None of these reports demonstrate any public health effects associated with waste energy plants. And I'm going to show you why, because we're going to go through the actual emissions. We are very strictly regulated. We're regulated under the Clean Air Act and the Clean Water Act. I am, as the executive director, am the responsible official for the Solid Waste Authority. What that means is that I am personally responsible for the complying with the environmental regulations and providing accurate reports to the regulatory agencies. I sign regularly under threat of fine or imprisonment for knowingly filing false reports. That's a liability I take personally, and that's why we take it seriously. I have a whole department under Mary Beth Morrison over here. She's our director of environmental programs. Their job is to ensure environmental compliance. How many people? 15? She has 13 people that work for her. We do continuous groundwater sampling. They are inspecting all of our facilities, working with all of our staff to make sure everything is in compliance, and ensuring that we file every regulatory report that we need to file when it needs to be filed. So these requirements are very strict. We have continuous emissions monitoring systems on the plants. That's not for every pollutant because those systems are not commercially available for all of them, but we do report continuously CO, carbon monoxide, SO2, opacity, and NOx are all continuously monitored by these systems, and we're required to report all of those results. So on a quarterly basis, instantaneously if there's an exceedance, but on a quarterly basis, we're required to submit reports to document not only those periods of exceedance, but the periods of monitor downtime. Monitor downtime is an issue. These are sophisticated pieces of equipment, and when the monitors go down, we're required to let the regulators know that they've gone down. We do extensive testing and monitoring and extensive reporting requirements. On waste energy in general as an industry, we wanted to put this in here because the industry has made significant strides since the Clean Air Act was passed back around 1990. This shows the emissions coming from dioxin emissions on the left side coming from waste energy facilities in 1987, 1990, 1995, and today. So dioxin is obviously a pollutant of significant concern. This is just to show you how far the industry has come in terms of controlling dioxin emissions from their plants. On the right side, you have it's a memo from the EPA, and it's documenting the 1990 emissions and the 2000, I think that's a 5, right? 2005 emissions from waste energy plants in the United States. And if you compare the first column to the second column and look at the third column, you will see better than 90% reductions from 1990 to 2005. So the industry has already gotten significantly cleaner, as have we, because all of our technology is post-2005. It's 2009 for Ref 1, and it's beyond that for Ref 2. So this will be in the, I can't go over it in detail, mostly because I don't have my reading glasses on and I can't actually read it. But that's, what about our permit limits? So we have permit limits. You know, we have to apply for permits, and we receive permit limits from the regulators. The permit limits are based on, actually the state has the ability to put in place more strict permit limits than EPA does. They can't be less strict. And in our case, in many cases, they're more strict. So the Ref 1 limits are in that middle column. And if you look at those and you compare them to the Ref 2 limits, the Ref 2 limits are in every case less than the Ref 1 limits. So that is why Ref 2 is more advanced. And when we replace this older facility with a new one, it's going to be replaced at least with the technology in Ref 2. So we're looking at actual reductions in emissions on this site, not an increase in emissions, despite the fact that the facility that we're proposing to build is actually larger. And we'll show that as well. What's more important, though, is how low our emissions are compared to what's allowed. So in the left column, you will see US EPA MACT, Maximum Achievable Control Technology. Those are the emissions limits as they exist. You will see Ref 2's permit limits in the next column, which are in most cases lower than, and in some cases significantly lower than MACT. The next column shows what we actually do. So when you look at particulate, the limit is 12. We're at 1.53. That's 87% below our permit limit, and even more significantly below MACT. And you go down the line with every one of these, cadmium, 98%, lead, 98%, mercury, 99%, carbon monoxide, 82%, hydrogen chloride, 88%. EPA's MACT limits are what EPA has determined to be safe, with a very large margin of safety. Our permit limits are well below those. Our actual performance is well below that. So when I tell you that these facilities are safe, they say they are. We're even better than the average. In fact, we're one of the cleanest. And then finally, I want to touch upon something that, well, not essentially finally, but I want to touch on something that a lot of folks do. A lot of times you're going to see a comparison of the Solid Waste Authority's facilities to industrial facilities. They'll say it's the X-ranked industrial polluter in the county. What you need to understand is that this is not an industrial county. We don't have a lot of industry. So when you look at the list of industrial polluters in the county, you get us, you get the airports, you get the sugar mills, you get things like that. They're all the ones that have to report. But you're not seeing the total picture. The Solid Waste Authority's two renewable energy facilities account for 1/2 of 1% of the total air pollution in Palm Beach County. 1/2 of 1%. And this is critical infrastructure. And this is where it gets a little detailed, and yeah, sorry for that. So let's just look at total emissions in Palm Beach County and how they break down. Carbon monoxide is the largest because of the trucks and the cars and everything else, and the lawnmowers and the weed whackers and and the leaf blowers and all of that stuff. CO is the largest. And we're going to go through each one of these and show you what our contribution is to each one. CO, 66.7% of the pollution in the county is CO. The Solid Waste Authority's contribution through our 2 renewable energy facilities is 0.14%. That's not even 1%. It's 0.14%. We are not a contributor to carbon monoxide in Palm Beach County, carbon monoxide emissions. The next we're going to look at is VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So when you look at VOCs, you're thinking about things like any solvents. When you get your roads sealed, if you get a new roof on your house, they do a hot mop, the dry cleaners, all these things. If you smell it like that, it's probably a VOC. The Solid Waste Authority's contribution in the upper right-hand corner, there's so many decimals, I can't even talk about it. So we're not a contributor of volatile organic compounds here at the waste energy plants. The next one is particulate, PM10, 10 microns. People talk about particulate in relation to potentially people with breathing difficulty, with asthma, things like that. Our contribution to particulate in the upper right-hand corner is in total 0.1%. Most of the particulate in the air in Palm Beach County is coming from fires. It's coming from dust. That's dust from construction, from agriculture, from cars driving back and forth along the roads. It's from fuel combustion. It's from commercial cooking. Have you ever thought about the range hoods in the restaurants? There's no air pollution controls on the range hoods in a restaurant. And commercial cooking contributes approximately 6%. And I want to note, I promise to tell you that this is EPA data. It's not our data. This data was compiled by the University of Florida under the direction of Dr. Tim Townsend. This was not done by us. This was done by the university. And whenever we present anything to you, this stuff is not us. This is a university. We don't say things without the independent studies to back it up. So this is EPA data put together by the University of Florida. PM 2.5, smaller. It's about 3.36% of the total air pollution. The Solid Waste Authority, again, we're in the decimals. We are not a major contributor to PM. It's because of our air pollution control system, because of those bag houses in particular. Most of it comes from fires, prescribed burns, agricultural burns, wildfires. Most people don't know that a small wildfire will generate more particulate than REF2 will in an entire year. So if you see a wildfire out there and you see the smoke and you smell it, that's the particulate. And that vastly exceeds what our facility does because our emissions are controlled. But when you look at everything else on there, you see commercial cooking is on there again. And the point I'm making with all of this is, if the thought is to not replace renewable energy facility number 1 because of emissions, not replacing it is going to have a negligible impact on total emissions in Palm Beach County and in the emissions of these things. And it will have serious detrimental effects. You're going to fill up that landfill and you're going to lose all of the advantages that waste to energy has. And then NOx, again, NOx, we're a little larger contributor to NOx, about 6% of the total. And that's just the nature of the waste stream that we burn. But again, it's very controlled. And as I've said, our NOx emissions are well below MACT and well below what is deemed to be safe. Again, most of the NOx is coming from motor vehicle traffic, obviously. A lot of it comes from mobile sources, fuel combustion, energy production, and other industry, agricultural, field burning, again, wildfires in general. So that's NOx. SO2. SO2 represents 0.42% of the waste stream. Now, this is the area where we have the largest contribution. It is SO2. And we represent about 20% of the total SO2 emissions in the county with these 2 waste energy plants. So that is a fact. But again, SO2 is 0.42% of the total air pollution in Palm Beach County because Palm Beach County is not an industrial county. So what we've done is we had the University of Florida compare Palm Beach County to industrial counties around the country. and one of them is Harris County, Texas. And the point I'm making here is if you took Ref 1 and Ref 2 and you actually put them in an industrial county, what is the percentage contribution to air pollution in that county? And as you would see, if we were Harris County, Texas, where they have a lot of other industrial sources, they've got petroleum refinery, industrial processes, chemical manufacturers, it would be a much smaller component of their total air pollution, meaning that right now in Palm Beach County, our SO2 levels are very low, actually compared to industrial counties. And that, I think, mitigates any concern about SO2. And again, our SO2 emissions are well below MACT and well below our permit limits. So they have been deemed to be safe. And finally, we went on, from an air quality standpoint, what does it really mean? What is air quality? Well, you know, the federal government measures air quality. And what we've done here is provide you, based on the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, what our air quality is in Palm Beach County compared to other large counties in Florida that do not have waste energy plants. And when you look at this chart, Palm Beach County is the yellow. And you will see that in this chart, in every season, we're among the lowest, we're among the best, that low is better, green is better. We're among the best air quality of these four. So it's another indication that, you know, it's all about outcomes, right? So if the air quality is good, then the operation is not detrimental to the air quality, right? I mean, we've got 2 waste energy plants, the most concentrated waste energy capacity in the country, 5,000 tons per day. And our air quality is better than places that don't have it. So, I mean, that's an important thing to note on top of everything else. And the big thing here, the big message here is the future is better. When we replace Ref 1 with Ref 1R, our total emissions on this site are actually going to go down from where they are today. They will be lower. So we're looking at 1,832 tons per year, the way we currently operate, and we're projecting 1,372 tons per year with Ref 1R replacing Ref 1, the same, basically a mirror image of Ref 2. So the decision was made back I don't know, around 2009 to move forward with Ref 2. We did do an environmental impact study back then. It was done by an independent consultant. It concluded that there would be no negative health effects associated with Ref 2 when added to Ref 1. And now we're actually reducing the emissions from Ref 1, which means it's better. It's better. That's the end of my talk on that. Let's talk a little bit about traffic because I know it's a concern. Traffic to this site, our tractor trailer traffic is what I'm going to focus on, comes from north and south. About 90 loads come from the north. They generally come off of the turnpike up here, right here at Jog Road. About 135 loads per day come from the south, and that they come in on 45th Street. So I'm going to get a little farther here. On Jog Road, about 1,670 daily trips are the Solid Waste Authority. 78% of the traffic on Jog Road is not Solid Waste Authority traffic. We've got Costco over here. You've got the FedEx station. There's a lot of traffic, goes back and forth, truck traffic on this site. It's overwhelmingly not us. I just want to make one thing clear. This question comes up a lot. The Solid Waste Authority is not planning to take in any waste from outside the county. So this facility is being built and sized for Palm Beach County, and we will not be taking any waste in from outside the county. And Ref 1R will not increase traffic on Jog Road. If we don't build Ref 1R, the traffic is going to go across the street to the landfill. So the only thing that's going to happen is instead of turning right, they're going to turn left, and instead of turning left, they're going to turn right. But the same traffic. There have been some questions about North Lake, especially as it relates to the potential extension of State Road 7 to North Lake Boulevard. We do have a West Central transfer station. It's located in Royal Palm Beach. And the question was asked, well, what happens if that opens? Well, that West Central transfer station, if they decided to take State Road 7 to North Lake Boulevard, and I'll be honest with you, it probably makes sense, would contribute 100 trips a day on a road, a stretch of road that already has 44,903 trips per day on it. So our impact on North Lake Boulevard is negligible. CSX crossing. It's always a topic. We've discussed it a lot with our Iron Horse friends next door. It's in really bad shape. Anyone who drove across it tonight knows that. It's in desperate need of repair and replacement. CSX was out and inspected it in November, and our understanding is that CSX and the county have a plan to deal with repairs and replacement of that crossing, and that there's a tentative completion date in 2026. So obviously the Solid Waste Authority doesn't have any control over that, but I just wanted to bring you that news, and I think some of you may already know it because I think some information did go out. So we understand it's a problem, and we're trying to help to address it. SWA, our commitment. We are committed to excellence in environmental quality and environmental track record. We strive for zero issues, zero exceedances. We put in the best possible systems we can. The Solid Waste Authority spares no expense when it comes to the facilities that we develop. And we have the luxury of doing that because we're in a county where everybody is in. Everyone in Palm Beach County is required to use this system and exclusively this system. That means everyone, every resident, every business, everyone is paying for this system. And that allows us to deliver a state-of-the-art system like this currently at a rate of $205 per year for a single-family home. That's what that does. And multifamily pays less. But I think we provide high value at the best possible price, and we work very, very hard to maintain low, stable rates for everybody while ensuring that we meet every environmental quality standard necessary and even exceed it. We're dedicated to being a good neighbor. We come out on the street, we're picking up litter on Jog Road several times a day. We're running a magnet truck up and down Jog Road 3 times a day to collect any metals that might bounce out of the trucks at the CSX railroad tracks primarily. But that's in order to prevent flat tires, to help our friends at Iron Horse, to help our own employees who come to work here every day, and to make sure that we're not contributing to flat tires. So we try to be open and transparent at all times. You'll see we've got a lot of stuff on our website. It's out there because we want you all to read it. We're never trying to hide anything. You have any questions, you call us. Okay. Not quite, but I got a couple more and then we will be done.
Well, I want to see if there's questions. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, it should be 5 minutes. This is our schedule. Our schedule demonstrates we're going to shut down Ref 1 in 2029, have it replaced by 2034. So there'll be a 5-year period there where we will be shipping some waste to out-of-county landfills in order to ensure that we're not negatively impacting our landfill. We will be taking the equivalent amount of waste in our landfill that we would otherwise be taking, but the excess we are going to ship out for 5 years. That's the plan. Single-family home assessments, I just want to go through this a little bit. I'll skip a little bit of this. We've provided projections to the board multiple times at the last board meeting. We project that once Ref 1R is in place, that our single-family rate will be $262 per home, up from the current $205. And that's just because it's the nature of our business. We're high capital. So I'm going to show you a chart. It'll show you that our rates remain very flat. And then there are times where, they have to increase. And we're going to try and mitigate that impact. And we've talked to the board about it, and the board has directed us to take action to make sure that we don't have any significant rate hikes. This is a chart going back to 2012. And what this is showing, the top green line is CPI. The orange bars are what our rates would be if they had just gone up by CPI. The green is where we have actually been and are actually project to be going. You will see that from 2012 through about 2022, 2023, our rates were pretty flat. And that's because we took every action to try and mitigate rate increases. We paid down debt early. We manage our budget. We spread the cost of projects over longer periods of time. But unfortunately, older facilities need to be replaced, and replacing them with newer facilities is expensive. But if you look at the chart, again, what we're showing you is that our rates remain well below where they would otherwise be if we just went up by the rate of inflation every year, which we don't do. And you'll find that our rates have increased at a much lesser degree than most other municipal rates and others. So, we are looking at cost. We will try to, obviously, we'll do everything we can to manage our finances effectively. We are very highly regarded in the financial community. We have the highest bond rating of any entity of our kind. We rely on the ability to issue bonds in the bond market and for major institutions to buy them. They buy them because of our track record, because of our financial security, because of our management experience, because of the quality of our operations and the way they know we run. But that's very important to us. This just takes the part related to the current period and puts that on a chart. This shows you, again, that same projection of $2,262. The red line is the line that would actually be the target, as we discussed with the board. Those blue ones that are above that, that's not to be worried about because we have the ability to mitigate those through the use of reserves and through the use of debt structuring. The board has directed us to for the foreseeable future, not to use reserves to buy down debt, but to accumulate reserves to help cash fund this project. That means that we will be able to ultimately cash fund a significant portion of the project, to be able to take out any debt that needs to be taken out in order to smooth out the debt curve going forward, and to make sure that our rates remain stable and predictable. We don't want to see anything that does this because that just upsets people. So our objective is to just to smoothly grow into this as necessary. So I've said we try to be a good neighbor. This is just one of the final pictures, just to show you what we do out here with the metal trucks, with the litter collection, with the odor control systems that we have on the site. All of that is designed to make sure we're a good neighbor. And with that, I thank you very much, and I am available to take questions. And if I don't know the answer, I've got others in the audience who probably do.
Okay, would you pass the test out, please, in the back so we can have a look? Go ahead, Jim. Identify yourself and what community you represent.
So is this thing working? I think it is.
Yeah.
So the demolition of Ref 1 is going to be done by obviously a contractor who's a specialist in demolition. There should not be any contaminants being released from the site. We intend to, as we did when we took down our compost facility, to recycle as much of that as possible. The steel, the concrete, everything that we can recycle out of it's going to be recycled. Everything's going to be done professionally. There should not be any noise. There should not be any odor. There should not be any significant vibrations. We've committed to Iron Horse to keep them informed of everything that goes on with the demolition. And if we believe something is going to cause a significant noise, we're going to notify them in advance so they know about it. But we're going to do it the best possible way and in the best environmentally responsible way, and it's going to be done by professionals. Yes, sir.
It's like the thing to do. But were there any other out-of-the-box thinking in doing to handle anything in the way of processing garbage or doing anything else with it? Or is it just the only, again, out-of-the-box thinking?
So when we built Ref 2, the board asked us to go out and look at alternative technologies. And that was, roughly 2010. The alternative technologies at the time were the same as the ones people talk about now. Pyrolysis, plasma arc, and gasification. I can tell you that we only focus on proven technologies. Proven technologies on our scale, multiple facilities operating, because it's not my money. It's the public's money. The public's investing in this, and we have a responsibility not to be the R&D people of the world and not to be the venture capitalists of the world and pay people to do things that aren't proven. I can tell you today, those three things, they're still not proven on any scale. They're not in widespread use. We wouldn't consider them. At the time, we sent out a request for, I forget what we call it, qualifications, some kind of proposal. And we asked everyone who thought they had an alternative technology to respond. But we required that they meet the same basic requirements that Ref 2 needed to. It needed to be of a significant size, it needed to be in operation for X number of years, and it had to meet all the basic qualifications requirements for Ref 2, and none of them did. So I'm confident today, as I was then, that waste energy technology is the only proven technology for handling large volumes of unrecycled municipal solid waste. And keep in mind, I say that because our intent, our objective is to recycle as much as possible. Waste energy is not a substitute for recycling. It enhances it. As I've told you, we collect all these metals that don't make it into the blue and yellow bin. All those metals would be entombed forever in a landfill somewhere. We're generating electricity. We're recovering aggregate from ash. It's over here. We've worked with the University of Florida and the Florida Department of Transportation and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, and we have approval for the use of this aggregate recovered from ash in asphalt and concrete. And that's a really important thing. And we're hoping in the near future to work with the county to try and get that spec put into the county spec so that their parks and road and bridge and folks can use asphalt and concrete with our specification, which is a 30% blend into the aggregate. Yes.
I'll give one from Iron Horse. As in technology, things change throughout the years. Is there a way you can design the infrastructure so that it can adapt to the changes in technology as things improve?
Well, I'll tell you one thing I've talked about, and I think it's something we're going to look at is carbon capture. The technology is evolving, and it is available to be able to capture CO2 from the flue gas and actually refine it into industrial grade or even commercial industrial grade or even food grade, depending on how much money you want to spend on it. So that's one thing that has the potential that could be added to this facility. And you should know I am retiring in 3 weeks, and Ramona Carey over here is taking my place as the next executive
Stand up,
director.
Ramona. Stand up.
So when I say we, I'm saying we. But we plan on ensuring that the space is made available to add those technologies if necessary,
I was
yes.
just questioning, is there a way you can architecturally design a facility that's, like in computers, we did that all the time. We always would design them for the ability to migrate. Is there a way you can do that without costing a lot of money, or is that built into the design?
Well, I mean, that's pretty much built into the design. I will tell you that we do have a focus on the architecture when we put these proposals out. We did that with REF 2. With REF 2, we provided $12 million. We had them bid a base facility, and then we provided them with a $12 million architectural allowance. So you don't just get these boxes. So what you see at REF 2 now with the blue and all of that, that was a lot of work with the architect. There was a lot of discussion about the color of the building. But we're looking to make, as we did with REF 2, it's not just a solid waste management facility. It's something that the community needs to be proud of. And we bring thousands of school kids every year through REF 2 on tours. We have community groups. We have people from all over the world come to see it. Our role is environmental stewardship. Our primary role is to protect the public health and safety. That's our primary responsibility in solid waste. And we take that very seriously. But our other role is also to educate. And we have a significant education department here. Our curriculum's in the schools. We're more than happy to try and help people be better stewards of our resources, and also to recycle right, which is our theme,
Yeah.
and we ask everyone to make sure they do that.
Yeah, Dan, I have a question that was asked of me today, which I obviously do not have an answer to. That's why I'm going to bring it up right now. Is there any early warning signal or something if something were to go awry in the facilities where maybe one of RFs exploded or something? And I mean, we get, tornado kind of sirens that go off. Is there any kind of thing that you would say that if you had to warn the citizenry, don't go outside for a while or something or whatever?
Well,
Or,
I can tell you, I can't think of envision any reason why
okay.
the public would be at risk from, something hitting the plant. We've had a fire at the plant back in Hurricane Wilma, I believe, REF 1. The plant was down for about 70 days. It's all controlled. That shouldn't really be an issue at all. The facilities are built to the hurricane standards that are required, so the building is intended to survive a hurricane. We do have fires in waste energy plants from time to time. Those lithium batteries or rechargeable batteries in your tools and everything else, please don't put them in the garbage. Drop them off at a big box store or bring them to one of our home chemical drop-off centers. Those are a big problem in solid waste management facilities. When they crack or get broken and exposed to water, to liquid, to moisture, they burn really hot, and they burn for a long time. So you don't want to do that. My warning to everybody also is just as a public safety message,
Yeah.
Don't leave town and leave a battery and a charger. Unplug everything, because there have been apartment fires, there have been houses that have burned down. It's a significant problem.
Yeah, Dan, only because one gentleman also asked me this, and he's not here today. I was looking. These studies that you referenced, are they accessible online, or if you can just send me the information on how to make sure we can get to that, and
Yeah,
I'll pass it on to the.
They're on the website, and the URL was in the presentation.
Oh, okay,
But
great.
there's a section on technical reports on our website.
It's on the homepage too.
Eh.
The first thing you would see is the rev.
Well, just give me in the simplistic kind of way. How would somebody get to it?
Go to
so we could pass it off. The dummy don. Right.
.swa.org.
Okay.
That's our website.
All right.
And
Well, that's
all of
good.
that stuff is on
Yeah.
there.
And don't forget, this presentation is being videotaped and electronically. We will have it on our website, so you can dive into that anytime you want.
Yes, sir.
MH independent. All of this talk is after the fact. Are you doing anything beforehand so that there's less garbage and waste, so that you have less to have to recycle, less to burn, less to, whatever you do? For instance, Tokyo doesn't have trash cans on the street. You have to take that home with you, so they use less trash. Cars in New York can only idle for 2 minutes before they have to be turned off. Less emission. Is there anything that your office is doing or proposing to have all of this waste minimized before it is turned into waste? Such as a very small example, bringing cloth bags to the supermarkets instead of using plastic or paper. Is there anything on that?
Sure, absolutely. In fact, we actually have a program that our marketing people put together where we are allowing people bring plastic bags and we give them a cloth bag. So we do promote that. I want to point out we are the largest recycler in the state. So we are doing more than everyone else is predominantly to encourage recycling. The one thing we can't control is what people generate. And this country generates a lot of waste, a lot more than we probably should. And we would wholly encourage people and manufacturers to change. I mean, we know that Amazon they're going to different packaging, lighter packaging and things like that. We wholly encourage that, but as the Solid Waste Authority, we have to plan for what's coming. And we'd be happy to see less waste generated. And we do work with the commercial sector to do that. But yeah, I would say, through our recycling programs, we're doing a lot. Can more be done? Probably. But this county we have always had a voluntary recycling program. We don't do mandatory recycling here because we don't believe it's necessary. And we also don't believe that that's the way to encourage the general public to support what you're doing or what we're doing. We have found that giving people the education and asking them to participate is the best approach, not by telling them they have to, because there's a whole segment of the population, we know this. If you tell them they have to do something, their immediate response is, I'm not doing it. And we don't have that problem. We have a very high construction demolition debris recycling rate in
Not
this
in
county.
these communities.
No. We have a very high recycling rate on construction demolition debris. We've never made it mandatory. It's mandatory in Lee County and some other places. We've never had to do it. Our overall recycling rate is a lot better than Lee County's. So we think what we're doing works, but I agree with you that there are certainly some things that need to be done to reduce the volume of waste that's generated.
Yeah.
I think we're buying a lot of stuff that's not high quality. People look for the lowest price, but they're not looking for the best. And so that results in a lot of stuff, like anything from household appliances to tools. Buy quality one time and you don't have to buy it again. You buy something that's not quality, you throw it out, and you continue the cycle. So I hope I answered your question, but
Well, Dan, let me, in the interest of time, to kind of just offer up the following. If any of you have questions when you go back to the ranch that you haven't thought about asking now, just get them to me, forward them to you, give me back an answer, we'll get it back.
Absolutely.
We have access to almost 60,000 peoples in the NCNC, so disseminating that information from an educational point of view would be helpful. And likewise, if you come into a new program that you think we need to know about, contact us as well, so that we can disseminate that information to the residents. Has anybody got any really hot, burning question that they've got to get off their chest right now, or? Yes, sir, in the back.
How much electricity a year does both of those plants create?
How much electricity do both plants generate?
Talking about 1 and 2 or 1R and the new one? In real world terms, right? How many homes? Right now it's 90,000 homes, you know, we're looking at each 96 megawatts, right?
Yeah, about 90,000 homes.
92 megawatts total.
It's a lot of power. Again, we're not a big generator when it comes to power, and electricity is a byproduct of our operation. It's not the objective, but it does help, and we are base load, so we're always there. I think there was over here.
Steve Wilson from Badewinds. You had a number up on the board that were related to dioxin. Is that the same dioxin that I was exposed to in '89?
It actually is, yes.
Okay. Just so you know, dioxin is really dangerous. I was exposed to it while I was in the service on the DMZ. 14 months, every day that I was there. I've had cancer 3 times. I've become a diabetic. I've had all kinds of problems.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the veterans, of which I'm one, obviously, have that. We never knew that we were being exposed to it on the DMZ. It took me 50 years to find out.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to point out how important it is to know how dangerous that particular drug is. The other thing is that I lived up in Staten Island for 30 years. Staten Island, we don't call them landfills, we call them dumps.
Right.
And we had 2 of them there. Both of them were closed at one time. One was reopened again for 9/11. I believe it's been closed again. But if you ever went down the main roads on Staten Island, which were Richmond Avenue, you had passed by the dump. You couldn't help but smell it. The methane that they were actually mining, from the landfills. And the last thing I wanted to point out is that New York City mandates recycling. And so coming here to Florida 21 years ago and finding out that it was voluntary was a surprise. In New York City, you put it out, you have to put it out at a certain time. They have inspectors that go around to make sure that you're recycling the proper things. My son-in-law just got a $50 fine because he put out his recycling 15 minutes before the hour when he was supposed to. So other communities do a lot of other things. New York City, obviously, because of its population, mandates it. They always have, even
Right.
when I lived there. But it's I think this is the way to go. Personally, for me, having lived 30 years with that smell, there's one mall on Staten Island. You couldn't go near the mall because it was blowing in the wrong direction. You literally couldn't. So I think this is a worthy cause and something that we have to support as well.
Thank you very much, and thank you for your service as well.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I just wonder, why didn't you look at building a larger facility and temporarily taking on other refuse from other sites to cut down on the cost of construction?
Yeah. Dan, before could you identify yourself in your community?
So let
PGA?
me just clarify what your question is. So you're asking why should we take in waste from outside the county in order to cut the cost? Oh, so I get it. So we've always taken the approach there, and just to be honest, Miami-Dade and Broward have come to us and talked about regionalization, about combining everything. But our response is basically we've done everything you need to do. Why would we want to burden our residents with the traffic and with the solid waste from other places? It's a policy decision, obviously, by the board, but our board has consistently said we want to manage Palm Beach County's problem here. Actually, a couple of years ago, we had a proposal from a company that wanted to build a solid waste management facility in south of South Bay. Within a half a mile of residence. They wanted to bring in waste from Miami-Dade County and Broward County and process it here in Palm Beach County. And the board, we came to the board, and the board specifically said and strictly said, we are not going to become the dumping ground for other counties any more so than we want to use another county as our dumping ground. So that's been our philosophy, and consistently, that's what we want to do. We're not in here to make money. We're not an entity who wants to make money. We provide a service. We are a business, obviously. We run like a business. We have everything a business has. We operate in a business-like manner, but that would obviously be up to the board. And to my mind, I don't believe the board, the Solid Waste Authority Board, would support the importation of waste for the purpose of generating revenue.
Okay, last question. Anybody got anything else they want to ask? Otherwise, get to me after the meeting by email, and we'll get it forwarded. We'll get answered back to and distribute it to everybody. So, I'm sorry, say again. Certainly. Commissioner Weiss.
So you were not going to see Dan again, but Dan has been at the helm of this operation for over 30, well, not the helm, but he's been here for over 30 years. What they have developed and what you have here in Palm Beach County is something you and every resident should be incredibly proud of, but thankful that we have people like Dan and Romani and the rest of the staff here who have built this system. This is an amazing system we have here in Palm Beach County. It's something that the rest of the world envies. And yeah, look, trash is an issue. Less trash would be better, but the reality of it is we've got to be able to take care of ourselves, and they've put in place a system that does this for us in a safe and effective manner, that does it efficiently at a reasonable cost for all of us. So I want to thank you. I want to thank your staff. And I want to thank the folks from NCNC for coming out and seeing what a great system you have here in Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay, Dan, you got the last word, and then I'm going to shut it down.
Well, thank you all for coming out tonight. It's been a pleasure to speak with you. We have a sign-up sheet out there for those who would like a tour. Sign up, we'll get back to you, and we can arrange tours for your HOAs, your POAs, or citizen groups who want to come out and take a look at the facility. We encourage you all to recycle, please. Blue and yellow bins, recycle right. And with that, I just want to say thank you and have a great night.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Wishes on your retirement.